we'll say hello, and then we have to pass in a name. We'll just say John Doe. All right, so go ahead and save. Now I do have the Prettier extension installed in VS Code, so it does kind of format it on save a little bit. So that if you see me save and things change a little bit, that's why. So let's run this. We're going to say Python 3 functions.py, and we get hello John Doe. All right, now we can also do default arguments or parameters, because if I were to do just say hello without anything in it, we get an error. It says missing one required positional argument. But what we can do, if we wanted to set a default, we could say like, let's say equals Sam, Sam. So name equals Sam, and if we run say hello now with no argument, you'll see we'll get hello Sam. Okay, so you can do that. All right, so usually you're going to deal with return values. Okay, when you run a function, usually it's you get something from it. You almost never are going to print something out like this, unless its point is to be a logger or something like that. So let's create a function called get sum, and get sum will take in num1, num2. I'm sure you can guess what this is going to do. It's going to let's see, we could just return, let's actually create a variable within the function scope called total. We'll set that equal to num1 plus num2, and then we're going to return total. Okay, now when we set variables inside functions, it's in this scope. Okay, so outside of it is going to be the global scope. This is the function scope. So this will return the total. So we can go down here. If I just do get sum and pass in, let's say 3 and 4, and I try running this, we're not going to get any output because we didn't print. Print is what causes the output to the console. So I could wrap this in print and run it, and then we get 7. A lot of times, though, you'll use the return value in some way, and you'll assign that to a variable. So let's say num equals get sum of 3 and 4, and then we could print num. We'll run that, we get 7. So num is equal to 7 because it's equal to the return value of that function. All right, so I want to move on here to what's called a lambda function. So a lambda function is a small anonymous function. It can take any number of arguments, but can only have one expression. And again, I'm comparing this to JavaScript, very similar to arrow functions. Okay, so if you're familiar with ES6, if you use React or anything like that, I'm sure you've used arrow functions before. This is pretty similar. All right, so let's take the get sum example up here, and let's turn this into a lambda. So we could just simply do get sum equals, so we're setting a variable just like in JavaScript. We would do like const get sum. I could even never mind. So get sum equals, and then we use the lambda keyword. Okay, and then we want to put in our parameters. So we have num1 and we have num2. All right, and then we're going to put a colon here, which is kind of like an arrow with an arrow function, and then our expression, which is going to, or the body of the function, which is going to be num1 plus num2. Okay, and it's going to implicitly return whatever this expression equals, and it's going to put it into this variable. So if I go ahead and I say print get sum, and let's pass in 10 and 3. So if I run this, we should get 13. Wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I think my Prettier extension just turned this into it added def and added the return. I shouldn't need those, though. I shouldn't even need these parentheses. Yeah, it turned it into a regular function. Let me try that again. Got rid of the lambda and everything. See, sometimes this Prettier extension doesn't do what I want. Yeah, see, I save it and it turns into that. Huh. You know what? Let me disable that real quick. That's not right. So I'm going to go to settings, format on save. Let's set that to false. All right, so now it's not, I'm saving it and it's not redoing it for me. So let me try this again, and we get 13. All right, so that's a lambda. So we're going to move on now to conditionals. So I'm going to clear this up, and let's open up, we'll save it. Let's open up conditionals.py, which is right here. And we're going to look at if statements, if-else statements, and these work pretty much like any other language. You test to see if something's true or false, and you do something based on that condition. So I'm just going to create a couple variables up here. Let's say x equals 10, y equals 5. And when we do an if statement, we can use comparison operators like equals to, not equals to, greater than, less than, greater than or equals, less than or equals. So let's do an if statement here. Now, we don't have to use parentheses like that. Like in a lot of languages, you'll use this syntax. We're just going to say if x is greater than y, and then we want to put a colon and then just indent the next line. And I'm just going to do a print. We'll use an f string, and I'm just going to say x is greater than y. And obviously you can do whatever you want in here. I'm just going to print this out though. Okay, so let's save this and let's run it. So Python 3 conditionals.py, and we get 10 is greater than 5. Now, if I were to change y to 50 and run it, we're not going to get anything because this isn't running, because this is not true. Now, you can also have else, okay, so if we wanted something else to happen if this isn't true, then we could do that. Let me just put a comment here. So this is a simple if. And then we'll just do, let's say, if else. So I'll go ahead and just copy this. And then let's put an else. So we do else colon, and then just indent the next line. And I'm going to copy that print and just reverse it. We'll say y is greater than x. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run this. And we get 50 is greater than 10. Okay, it's running the else because this is not true. So let's see, let's actually copy this if else, because now I want to show you how to use an elif or an else if. It's actually ELIF. So ELIF. So let's say not only do we want to test to see if it's greater than or less than, but also if it's equal to. So in the middle here, I'm going to put ELIF colon, and then we'll go ahead and print something. So we'll print x is equal to y. Okay, so if I run this right now, wait a minute, what did I do wrong here? Invalid syntax. Oh, I didn't put a condition. So this elif here, obviously this needs a condition. We're going to say if x is equal to y. All right, so if we run this now, we're going to get 50 is greater than 10. But if we change this to be equal, like let's change y to 10 as well, and we run it, now we get 10 is equal to 10. Okay, this right here, this condition is true, so it's running this. Now we can also do nested if statements, which is an if within an if. So for instance, if I wanted to do if x is greater than 2, and then do another if statement here and say if x is, let's say, less than or equal to 10, then let's do a print. We'll say x is greater than 2 and less than or equal to 10. So we can do that, and right now it's equal to 10, so that should run. Wait a minute. Oh, I forgot my indent. Okay, so now it runs. Now this isn't a great way to do this. If you wanted to do this exact condition, what I would suggest doing is a logical operator and using AND, okay? Because what you're saying here is both of these need to be true, right? So what we could do is we could instead say if x is greater than 2 and x is less than or equal to 10. Okay, so it's a cleaner way of doing it, and then we would run that. Okay, so let's comment this out and run that, and we get the same thing. And you can also do or and not. So if I were to copy this and do or, the difference here is with and, both of these have to be true for this to run. With or, just one of these has to be true, one or the other. So this would be or. All right, and then we also have not. So for not, let's just do something really easy. I'll say if not, and we can pass in here a condition like x equals y, then, oops, actually we'll just type this out. So print x all right, and that actually they are equal right now, so I'll change that to, let's say, 20, and now that should run. So you'll see right here 10 is not equal to 20. So in fact all three of these are running because they all evaluate to true. All right, actually no they don't. Hold on. Y. Oh yeah, they do, because we didn't even test y. All right, so I'm going to comment this stuff out. And let's move on to membership operators. So basically what this is used for a lot of times is to test to see if something is in like a list. So if we do numbers and we set this to a list, and let's say we want to test to see, we don't need that. If we want to test to see if 3 is in the list, I'll actually change the x value up here to 3. So let's say if x in the name of the list, which is numbers, then we could do something. And we could even do this. We could say print, and we could do x in numbers, just like we did in the if. And what this will do is give us a true or false. Okay. So if this is true, then this is going to give us true. So if we were to run this, you can see we get true. At the same time, we have not in. Okay, so this is an in, and we also have not in. So we can say if x not in numbers, then let's print x not in numbers. Right now, that's not going to run because 3 is in the numbers, but if I were to change it to, let's say, 13 and run it, we get true, which is corresponding to this right here. Okay. We also have identity operators of is and is not. So for instance, and I don't use this too much, but we could, just to show you it's possible, we could do like if x is y, and then we could do the same thing we did above by printing the conditional, or we'll get a Boolean from this condition. Print x, is y. So let's actually comment this out. And if I run this, we get nothing because x is not y. But if we change it to 20, and we run it, then it should give us true. Okay, it gives us true because x is y, and then at the same time